that just be like, oh, I'm okay. Thanks for calling, but it's rare.
Okay. Okay, so that was enough to discourage you.
Not completely. I just think that, maybe gotta, well, I did actually have the thought of like calling a friend, like, there's a reason calling reaching out to the open house gives me a lead to, hey, there's an open house coming around by, like, do you want to stop by? There's a reason for me to call you and I can deal with it negative. But I don't know, I feel like the first time that I went on it, in that first week, just doing 7 calls, coming from also a UC 911 operator, it kind of gave me like flashbacks of like nasty people on the phone. And I was like, oh, I left for a reason. But I'm like, it's not that bad, but it's just like, I have to rewire my brain for a second. Like, okay, I'm prepared for the negative and keep on pushing.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. The hard thing is, it's the, I'll back up just a little bit so I see everyone. It's the negatives that we remember. It's like the highs and the lows that we remember, and most of it's right here, right? But, Jelena came, and the reason she tells you 1,000 calls, if you do that, you'll hit $100,000, is because that's what I told her when she came, and she did it, and she hit it.
So she was doing it for like 5 to 6 months.
Yeah, and she hit it, and that's the thing I tell people all the time. Like, last year was my first year in real estate, and I did about $100,000. But if I wouldn't have had my previous years, last year would have been worse than, right? Because when you first jump in, it takes this crazy amount of activity, this crazy amount of work, so that in the future you can kind of, choose how you want it. But in the beginning, if you've got in your mind and said, you know what, I am going to do this no matter what, and make those calls and ignore you would hit $100,000. I have no doubt of it. Are you willing to do that? And if no, right, there's no judgment if yes or no. What are you going to do instead? So when you say, I'm going to do or not. It's about the number of contacts that you get with a person that you're then going to do. So that's what I think is crazy about real estate. It's very simple. Anyone could do $100,000, and you could do it working 3 hours a day. Totally believe it. If you did the activity that no one else wants to do during those 3 hours, which is call people. Like if you just said, I'm going to work 20 hours a week, and all I'm going to do is make phone calls and then service those calls, you would be just fine.
Call that we talked about, like, call them, make contact, and follow.
You want the appointment. Like, if you just set appointments and went on them, and then you said, hey, someone else needs this. That's why I think a transaction coordinator, if you're doing the right things, transaction coordinator makes a lot of sense. If you're doing the wrong things, transaction coordinators are wasting money. Just go do the other things that you're not doing anyway. But yeah, I think it's very simple, but most of us will not be willing to. And the top of us are willing to do it for a short amount of time. Then you hit, like, there's a ceiling that we're comfort, that we're all willing to do something until we hit that ceiling, and then we're just not willing to do as much because we hit that spot of.
And times for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do want to bring the dials back in.
Yeah.
So much time for me to get up.
Yeah.
If I did it the first week, it's doable. I just need to get my mindset on that.
Right. And I think the reason I say there's no judgment in it is because people have to decide what they want. So like for some, making those phone calls is so miserable that it doesn't matter if I'm going to get this, because this thing I have to do right now is not worth it. It's causing me pain. It's causing me, I don't like the person that I'm showing up as, whatever those things might be. Then you got to, okay, right? So it's just that thing. But it really does come down to how many people have you talked to every day, new people, how many no's do you get? Right? If you can get 20 no's a day, that's great. Right? Because eventually you're gonna get a yes, you just gotta knock all the no's
Knock
out.
the nose out of the park.
Right, so got another no, got another no, got another, I think if we started tracking no's instead of yeses, it would be, it would be great. But most of us don't like no's, I don't like no's. So sometimes we're afraid of them, sometimes we write our own stories when we get them, sometimes. I went to an open house this weekend with my neighbor doors down. I helped my neighbor buy a second home. I know my neighbor is going to be moving in a year or less. They're talking right now, like to my wife and family, they're like, yep, we're gonna be moving, we gotta put our house on the market. And I didn't say anything. I'm like, she probably has another realtor friend that wants to do it, and it would be weird for me just to go, well, you want me to do that for you? And my wife's like, what are you talking about? Just go. If she doesn't want to do it with you, she doesn't want to do it with you, but just ask.
Right.
Right? But that's thinking,
It's really hard.
yeah, it's way, I don't want to,
It's
not
it's
that
an
bad.
awkward thing, so it's just kind of open forum kind of.
Yeah,
So here's the tough part that I have. How's real estate going? You're like, I can't even write the next check, I gotta write this, right? Or you know, whoever we are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You gotta go, great,
yeah.
you know
Right,
what I mean? But I mean, it's just up, it's this thing, you know, and you got
Yeah.
it, but it's like, so there's gotta be a script for that.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, because my wife is more social than she just has more time, I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
I'm out on appointments or whatever. She's more social than I am with the girlfriend, so it's, hey, how's Bob doing? She just doesn't have she's, what do I tell him?
right.
She knows I'm.
Always looking to
She knows I'm
grow.
in a good mood for 3 months, and then I'm in a really bad mood for a fourth month, and then the
Yeah.
next month I'm in a good mood again.
Right,
But she's just.
because
like-
the checks come in tens and twenties, not in,
Yeah,
right?
and so there's kind of like that, how do you, I mean, I think that's a hell of a dialogue for anybody to know, what's the answer to that? How's it going? So I just told her, says, great, but he's always looking towards tomorrow and new business. He's had a really good spring, but he's definitely looking for new business for the, going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of like, how do you?
Yeah.
But there's some way that you gotta come up with a script for that, like,
Right.
how do you answer that question? Cause I'm sure you get asked it.
Oh, yeah.
You go, like over the 4th of July, you're gonna be bumping into people. How's it going? Oh, I had a great spring, but, but then, what's that next phrase? What's that next line?
Yeah, I think there's something to, I'm always looking to grow. I'm always increase my business. You know,
Every Wednesday, I'm with the new force ladies and they, oh, your real estate, how's that going? I'm like, really good. I love it.
Yeah.
And then they don't know what to do from
Yeah.
there.
Well,
Right?
I think this is a good dialogue to have. We gotta
Yeah.
figure this out. We should figure that out like right here, right now.
we can do it.
Like, what- Well, seriously, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go back to our desks and we're gonna go like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's really like, what's the dialogue? I mean, it's tough to say. So I'm trying to think of what I just tell people I've been really, really fortunate. It's been a really good 6 months, really, it's been basically been a good year.
Yeah.
But with with the decisions in the government, things going on all the time, you just never know. So if you got somebody looking, I'd love to help somebody.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for business.
yeah,
You just say it that way, so you kind of.
Yeah.
So it's positive, but just say, my future's unknown.
right.
Without more business. I mean, I don't know what, I gotta write that down and come up.
Yeah, right. I think that's the part, Bob, is I think you kind of know what to say. You just gotta make it more,
Internalize it, so it's what
Yeah.
they call elevator speech. You
Right.
just drop it like
yeah. I think the market's really, I think oftentimes I get, how's the market? How you doing? The market's been tumultuous. I can't imagine not doing it with a realtor, and I'm always looking to grow. Why? You know anyone that's looking to buy or sell? Why are you guys thinking of selling? I had a buddy call and he sent a picture, he didn't call, he texted me. And he sent a picture, oh, speaking of which, I gotta have a copy with him soon. I figure out when that is. He sent a picture and he goes, look at this. like, and it was like 1.3 or something. And I go, yeah, looks about right. He's like, no way. I go, yeah, maybe it's time to get your house on the market. Right? Because he's just in a spot where he doesn't know it's real estate. He's out in Greenfield. He's seen the prices go like crazy and not in a spot where it's ready to get his house on the market. But just one of those thing of, that's one of the things that sometimes is tricky for me is how to turn it into, hey, think you're selling? All right, think you're selling. And for me, that seems like, because I'm the one asking the question, it seems like a big deal. But if I'm on the other side, it's not a big deal question. No, not yet, maybe someday.
I think we need to realize that even though Zillow's there and Realtor.com and all this, people really don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
You gotta really realize that we're helping.
right.
I'm kind of, at the time, you guys are pushing it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to motivate myself
Yeah.
as well. I'm not trying to like do this.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of part of it. You gotta realize that they don't know what to do.
Right.
I got somebody that's asking me about the next step. He's done very well. And he's got like this quirky $800,000 house, which, that'd be wonderful, but then he's looking for something else, like the detached villa, kind of retirement, kind of And I said, Peter, are you ready for that? Cause I don't wanna like pounce on it. Yeah, let's get your house sold. I go, well, I could do more consultative with,
Yeah.
especially with friends. Is that what you wanna do? I says, cause you're gonna have, the construction issue. Is it, you wanna go through that process, or would you rather find, it kind of be more really laid
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
But get the conversation going.
Yeah.
And then what's nice now is we've got this is like the best time of year to get photos done, because when have you ever seen things greener than right now?
Right.
Whether it's anyways, flowers are ever look better.
Right.
So you just kind of use that as a way to get in there and get the photos done on anything, anybody, just kind of work towards that. And I'm using now, as I'm coaching myself, I just, I'm talking here, and I've got somebody that I gotta reach out to that has never said I could sell his house, but they bought with, Jeff's developments, but I brought him to the table, so that's a good reason for me to reach out. Now, I know you're probably not gonna get it done, there's a lot of delays.
Yeah.
They're happy with us, basically, but either way, you gotta get photos done. Get those done now, so they're on file.
Right. Right.
I did close quite a few last year. I had the year before this, so in 2024, I had a lot of business kind of throughout the rest of the year, but I did a lot of that. All that, get the photos done. That it was fine.
Yeah.
But I don't done now. That worked really well for me personally.
Yeah.
You always got to figure out a way to like seasonality, what's going on. Like get people excited now, because you really got through July, and in reality, end of July and August are the slowest months of the year, more so than other. So if you can let's get on now, or you can be their advocate, say, let's get all prepared, so come September, we can hit it hard.
Right. Jump there before the winter and then.
Yeah, I don't know. So you gotta think of all those little ways to hook somebody.
Yeah, and the thing it all comes back to is how many people am I talking to? Right?
Yeah.
Because if everyone you're talking to, you're thinking is gonna buy or sell, that's a problem. But if you go, hey, I just need 5% of my thoughts to be buyers or sellers.
What I see lacking is, I've been lucky with more sellers, but I see what's lacking is buyers make the world go round because they sell. And then you're gonna get the one sale on their buy. That been doing this just long enough now that those people are selling that house. So I got the buy, and I'm gonna get the sale of that one, plus I'm gonna get the next buy. So that's like two more, like a 2-for-1 deal on that one deal I did buy side. So it's like,
Yeah. They actually say if you focus on the listing, that's the person
do,
selling the
right.
house has somewhere to buy,
right.
right? So
You kind of miss out on some of those sometimes because they've already found that spot.
they know where they're going
Yeah,
first.
like I'm obviously a lot older, and my people already have they already have a destination for Arizona.
Right.
So I don't get a lot of the sales I've had. I haven't had the destination.
So they're selling their home as a byproduct of wanting to be somewhere else.
Yeah, they've already bought it. They've already walked into a new development.
Yeah, down
Buying
there.
it like a villa or townhome or something.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my life has been that way,
Gotcha.
but I've been dealing with some younger people buying. Or doing this thing like now I've got the sale on that one in their next buy.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, last year I had, I think the same number of clients, but they weren't buy, sell. They were either a sell and they're going to another, or they're buy. You know, like, this isn't as fun, right?
Yeah, and I'd never had that till last year, till just this last year, I've had a lot of the double. So
Oh, man,
I didn't have
that's-
that before.
That's the way to do it.
I just would be one and done and like, see,
Yeah.
call me in 5 years, you know.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more fun when you get to both help them buy a home and sell a home and sell a house. That's the language I always use is, hey, let's sell your house so we can go buy your home. Yeah, there's just a little difference. You
Right.
attach it to your house so we can buy it. Did you get a broker questions?
Oh, sorry, we didn't.
That's all right. No, that's good. Do you have, I love coaching, so I like that spot as much, but do you have a specific broker question?
That's a good question. Like, regarding you and your real estate, like, how did you get to where you're at, or?
It can be like, hey, help me understand this form. How do I do cancellation? How do I write language so that, I don't, if my buyer doesn't find a house, don't have to sell this one. How do we?
I should bring that contract that came into fact. Remember that was complicated.
Yeah,
Going back and forth about,
yeah. About
I-
personal property. How do we write personal property into agreements? And how do we,
that one where I had, it was, like the different clauses, there's a section in there
Yeah.
about. I gotta go find that contract. It's too late now, this meeting.
yeah. Any of those kind of questions?
If I'm back, I'm back.
All right. Do you know, you guys could be the first to learn, we're having like 14 different forms that are getting changed come in August. Again, so, Candy just wrote a note. Did you get that email today, Candy? Oh, no, I took her off. I don't know what I do with Zoom, but.
From you or someone else?
From, Mar. Would have been from Ryan.
Let me check that email. Hold on.
Oh, look at that. I have them right here. Look at that. You guys want to see these? This is good. You guys get to be the first. People should have came to the broker. We'll do the residential. Oh, you guys are so ahead of the class. That's good. All right, I'm gonna go plug them up. You guys, let's come forward so I can look, show you.
I didn't log into Zoom, but.
That's okay. We'll just bring them up here and we can look on the screen together. All right. Are you still on there, Candy?
I'm on the call. I don't have that email.
Oh, perfect. Gotcha. All right, well, I'll give you these forms so we can process through them too. Yeah, turn this. Are you doing something else, Candy?
Yeah,
Never
but I'm
mind.
also listening. Do you want me to go in there?
I was gonna, if you wanted to, I would have been, I don't think I'm gonna throw them on Zoom, so.
Oh, the forms. Okay, sounds good.
Let me do it.
What does this one need to be on?
Whatever it was on, PC.
It does need to be
Yeah.
for the front one?
Yeah,
How come it's not working?
because it doesn't work.
I'll try a different cable. There's like 3 of them up here, so I imagine someone else had this problem.
Otherwise, you can plug directly into the TV.
Let's try this. Not that different. All right, let's go for it. All right, you want to change the source?
Which one? Two.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So this one here, I'm gonna close. I think I downloaded it. So. Come on, my save to. No. All right. I was going to talk about clauses, by the way. These are clauses. But we'll look at these different forms. All right. You guys get to see these for the first time along with me. So this is an addendum amendment to the listing contract. We have something that's like this already. That will be, so it goes to listing this is basically an addendum this is for an interpreter. We won't use this one very often. But if you if you have to bring in a party to interpret, you also want to document that this form is for. Let's see what else we have here. This one is additional signatures. People ask this all the time. What do I do if I have multiple people that are on title? All people on title have to sign off on it. So this allows you to add signatures besides the 2 that are on the form. So you just add, this would be an addendum. You add it to the PA or you add it to the whatever documents. So that's what that is on that side. This next one seems like an old form. We will not, you don't have to use this form in any way, but there it is. It's an addendum or purchase agreement for coronavirus. Oftentimes has to do with how we are how they're preparing the house, how that's coming for showings and all that. So that's another one we won't use very much. This one here is a move-in agreement. People ask all the time. So per the contract, occupancy happens typically right at after closing, right? People decide, hey, no worries, we'll do a rent back agreement, we'll do different things. We'll let them move in early. Whenever you change the normal way of doing things, it can complicate things. And one of the things that sellers need to understand is the house is theirs until it closes. What buyers need to understand is as soon as you close, the issues are yours, right? So closing is kind of that spot. So whenever you say, you can move your things into the garage. Well, if anything were to happen, the risk is for the sellers, right? Buyers, you can move in the house. But that's a challenge because now they can damage the property before they own the property. Same thing on sellers staying on a rent back. Is you've already closed, it's now the buyer's property. Let's say the sellers have a heavy piece of furniture that they take out and it just destroys the wood floors across. That's actually a buyer's responsibility, right? Because the buyer now owned the property. So these kind of things help determine those, how to do it. So there's move-in fees, who's handling utilities, so there's some standard forms. Whenever we as realtors start to write our own language, it starts to get challenging. So it's best if we use language put together by the attorneys. That's what this form is for buyers move-in.
Goal is.
Well, the goal is always to do what's best for your client, right? So, that's what it is. Same thing, here's a new, rent back agreement. What we just talked about. That's a new one of those. Those forms are not super common, but they're common, the situations. Lease addendum, lease, do you guys do much lease stuff? Lots of lease stuff in here, that's good. This one is an amendment to the listing contract or buyer's representation or facilitator. So this, we have an amendment similar already, but this is what that is in place. So some people like say they want to change the commission, right? But that's where this agreement would be done. You can't take more than is on your buyer agreement, so that's what this one is for. Looks a little different. Seller concessions. This is again how you're contributing to pay cooperating brokers. This used to be right in the PA. It looks like it's different now. So that will be a spot we kind of got to look at.
So would this be used like during the period? Isn't there a place for seller concessions?
Yeah.
So why would you have that in?
Yeah, I have to look and see what's changed about it. But they might have taken it out of the agreement if this shows. So this actually was part of the listing contract. So remember, it's right on tells them who you are, then it tells you how the price, and the next lines there. It could be this one, this one, this one. Looks like they made that a separate amendment. So that's what I gotta look at to see how they changed that one.
Oh, this.
So that's a listing contract amendment. This is a PA adjustment.
I feel like I didn't do more at.
So as is, here's the deal with as is. As is takes the responsibility and hands it to the buyer, right? One of the things, I was at a arbitration recently, and one of the things that happened, they said, well, once you disclose something, then it's not an as is anymore, right? So you should not give a property disclosure where you're saying, hey, I'm going to disclose everything I know and do an as is. I'm doing a waiver and doing an as is. So it says right on it, do not use this addendum without first seeking, in the event that sellers completed a buyer and buyer received a seller's property disclosure, do not use this addendum. Right? So that's the challenge is, hey, I'm telling you some things, but I'm not telling you everything. It's better not to tell anything and then use this as is. Good?
Can you do that in a home that you live in or only for ones that you're the landlord of?
So there's a couple different reasons that you would do an as is addendum. You can do an as is addendum as a homeowner. If you just go, hey, I don't know, I'm not disclosing, I'm doing a waiver of disclosure and I'm doing an as is, you're taking all the responsibility. You can do that. One of the challenges is, there are, costs. As realtors, you cannot do that. And as realtors, you must disclose material facts. So working with clients, even working with clients, you must disclose material facts that you know about, right? So it's a tricky spot where you want to make sure you're not hiding, covering up no matter what. This often is a, either I'm selling my parents' home, I'm doing a rental, I'm doing whatever, I'm doing this, I'm not disclosing, and I'm doing an as is addendum. So those are what those are. You should always, when you present this, you want to say to your client, hey, you might want to talk to your lawyer about what the implications of this are. FHA and some others, DBA allow, and some others allow you to assume loans. One of the reasons that is appealing is because interest rates used to be a lot lower than they are right now. There was a gap of time where they were a lot lower. The challenge might be, how much how much loan is left for them to assume, and then they have to bring additional money. This is one of those forms that talk about assumptive financing. Hey, you can, it's a process. It takes longer, as you need to understand, and lending on the other portion of it might be a challenge. So that's. CICs. CICs are like homeowners associations and different pieces. You have a right to review things. You get 10 days of review once you have all of it. The 10-day right of rescission begins when the last document relating to the association or master association, if applicable, is delivered. That means sometimes you'll get these forms in the beginning and not get all of them. Well, your 10 days, and no, on the seller side, your 10 days doesn't begin until you've received all of it. And then only after buyer has received and had the opportunity to do your disclosure statement, the amendment disclosure, resale disclosure, the person required to deliver the disclosure. You can waive it after 3 days. Buyer more than 3 days right there. So that will be, people ask them last time, well, we don't have them all, but can we move on? No, it doesn't start till the 10, and you have to wait 3 days after that. Contract for deed. Minnesota has done some different things with contract for deed and legally things on that. So it's important, again, they're working with someone that's speaking financially to them, and then a lawyer as well is always important. But there's a new spot. You can see right there on number 12, it says this purchase agreement is or is not contingent upon the parties consulting with legal counsel. Remember, as realtors, you never ever want to give legal advice. You always want to say, oh, it might be something to talk with your attorney about. There's the addendum, the new addendum for counteroffer. Remember, final acceptance dates is the day that everything is signed. That one looks a little different. A lot of little changes. Lead-based paint. That's a little change as well. When do you need lead-based paint? 78 on the corner. Sale of a buyer's property contingency. So this is the one that we talked a little bit about. Hey, I have to sell my house. Then there's the seller's right to remove contingency. You have a number of days. That's what this is here to make that happen. So if a property is on the market in the MLS, it's sold, it is contingent only upon this piece. It should be active dash contingency, and it could be other, it could be whatever. It should not be TNAS. It should not be Pending should not be any of those things. There's still a contingency out there, so active contingency, other, or active sale of the other home. I think I'm on Zoom here, but I'm leaving your Zoom meeting. Here we go. This one here. Same thing, purchase lease contingency addendum. Nothing fun and crazy like last time so far. Short sale contingency, hopefully we don't get a ton of these. But I signed my first short sale one yesterday that needed a broker signature. On short sale, you always want to make sure the lender's involved. You want to make sure title knows what's going on, and you want to make sure that legal knows what's going on. And there's a process for all the short sale and what they're, sometimes the banks will be willing to take less, and sometimes that client's gonna have to bring money to the property, make it up. Sewage and well, these are things that especially west of us happen quite a bit. Have you had to do sewer well contingency? Sorry. Gotcha. They're pretty simple, but we don't do them a lot, so when that happens, just ask with the form. This is what I say all the time. Alex has probably heard me say something before. If you don't know what to do, what should you do? And you should read the contract, right? Everything is in the contract. Well, when am I done with it? What does the contract say? Is this business or calendar days? What does the calendar say or the contract say? If you go to your paperwork, it answers most of your questions. I'm also willing to answer those questions, but I think teach someone to fish versus giving them a fish creates better. Yeah. Here's just a nice spot here. Let all that blank room there. So this is just adding, you're adding to the purchase agreement. Hey, we're gonna add something. Here's the challenge with adding things. Whenever we realtors add language who are not legally based, we put things in there that get creative, and sometimes they're in conflict with the PA and do actually harm when we think we're helping. So be limited on your language. Oftentimes use clauses that have already been written for you, but this will be like, oh, we're gonna add something. We're gonna guarantee a closure, and if it doesn't close, you get to keep this percentage of our earnest money. Or we're going to pay, appraisal doesn't matter, we're gonna pay as much as we want for the house, we guarantee the appraisal. Or we want all these boats and this dock and all the water toys and all those things, we're just gonna write it on there. When you do that, it makes things challenging in different ways. So we gotta be careful about how we fill all these lines in, but there's a nice blank page to do that. And it says right on it, by the way, in the event of a conflict between this addendum and any other provision of the purchase agreement, the language of this addendum shall govern. So it takes priority of what you said before. Look at this beautiful form. When do we have to do this? Right, first real conversation about real. First conversation of substance, because I can't say substantive, yes, that one, right? You see it now, I said it, and now Alice is like, Kevin, you've messed me up. Yes.
Essentially, though, is like the first appointment that you had that you're getting.
Yep. And here's the deal. If you don't get assigned, they say, hey, I'm not gonna sign it. All you gotta do in there is write presented, boom, 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 right? So you didn't get their signature, but you presented that. Whoops, you presented at that time. Amendment to disclosure statement. This is really nice when So who would be on here? Just a quick question, top on the bottom. I'm amending the disclosure statement. Seller's gonna go on there, right? And then the seller's gonna sign again. So let's say we're in the middle of a transaction. We have like 2 weeks to close. Okay? And a tree just fell through the back of the house. Okay? That happened, right? Seller says, hey, I'm disclosing to you, the tree fell, the damage wasn't huge, so we just kind of cut it down and put it around. What happens to your contract? What do you think happened? Do we just proceed? Okay, what do we do? Yeah, so I've disclosed it. I've told you about it. I cut the tree down. Buyer gets to say, right? All you're doing is disclosing, and the PA says if there's a substantial change that you can negotiate, right? And I would argue, hey, this is a substantial change. You have a hole in the roof, or there was a fire, or now what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm going to cancel my agreement, or I'm going to make sure the work is done how it should be, or I'm going to reduce my amount of money, right? Purchase price. Now, two things have happened. I've lost a tree, which was worth $2,000, and it fell on the house. So sometimes people believe if you just change that, I've disclosed it to them. Disclosure is not a new contract. Even if they sign and they say, yes, I've seen you disclose this. However, I'm going to have someone look at this. That's a big change. A bigger one is there's never been water in the basement. We have a big storm. Now water got in the basement underneath the carpet and the different things. Well, we vacuumed it up. Well, my concern is that carpet clean, dry? Did you just vacuum it up? Is there water underneath? What caused the water in the first place, right? Now, if I'm 2 weeks from closing, I might say, hey, I want that property. I'm going to get an estimate. I've already signed this because you've disclosed this. I want that property still, but I'm going to reduce the offer by $15,000. Are you crazy? We're not going to do that. We expect you to close at the money you're at. No, I'm not going to close. There's a substantial change. Backing out of that, signing the amendment does not give you right to continue just as it goes. So what I would say, if you're representing the buyer on this, I would say, thank you for disclosure. My client is going to get estimates before we're willing to move forward, right? Your buyer can still sign as acknowledgement, and with that, I would add a page. We're not prepared to move forward without an estimate, right? We're wanting to get inspection. We want to let them know that something has changed. This is a substantial change. We have to decide if we still want the property. We understand you disclose this to us.
That just be an email, or is there a?
Oh, I would put it right in with it. I could do it through an email. You could do this. Just know disclosure doesn't mean same contract, right? I always think it's good to be very clear on pieces. So that's what I would do right away. Hey, thanks for disclosing this to us. We need to see what other damages fall. We need to now find why the house got water in it, right? And also tell your seller, if that happens to your seller, hey, just disclosing it doesn't mean we're moving forward. That's a big change. There might be a new negotiation of the contract. All right. That's a big one. That one actually has popped up. So a lease amendment, same thing. Lots of language. Careful on your language, not just swearing. Another one, amendment to the purchase agreement. What's the difference between an amendment and a addendum? Right, so when would you have an addendum? Right, so with your additional, if you're adding things to your initial offer, that's a addendum. If you're changing, like after you've done your inspection, you're now using an amendment. We're changing the purchase agreement, we're amending it. That's what that is. If you accidentally use the wrong form, it's not the end of the world. However, it's not as clean. There's the fun one. This one's gonna be a little. All right, this is a buyer rep exclusive. Here's my cost, how it works, 6 months. Anything they are paid shall reduce any obligation to the buyer compensation. See how they don't even have shall not anymore? It's just shall. That's the difference there. And then broker shall not, may not receive compensation for broker services provided to the buyer from any source that exceeds the amount or rate agreed to in this contract. Here's one of the biggest things that miss, and what should go right here? Broker admin fee of $4.99. So this is what I say as a broker, because someday it's going to bite us. Our broker admin fee is $499. If you don't write it on here, we're still going to take $4.99. But you can't take a broker admin fee if you don't write it on here. It's just the rule. I'll also say this. There are rules about what our compensation should be for. And one of them is you have to tie a service to your cost. So your service, let's say it's 3% commission, is what you're getting paid. Your service is not an extra $100 on the broker admin fee or extra $300 on the broker admin fee. So as the broker, I hate seeing people charge more than the broker admin fee at the brokerage, because that's not completely open to your client. What you're doing is you're giving yourself a bonus, not going to the brokerage. And I think it would cause trouble if someone took a hard look at it. So I say BAC should say $4.99. It should go on here because that's what the brokerage charges. Good. All right. But that's the difference on here, is no longer are you writing shall or shall not, right? On our current one, it's shall reduce. Whatever you pay me, whatever I'm paid from the other spot shall reduce on that. Good. That's simple. And I think that's, we're gonna get to another one I think is gonna be pretty simplified. Here's another buyer rep. This is non-exclusive. We don't use those very often. But you could use a non-exclusive if the other party had a non-exclusive as well. And then you just, whoever helped them find that particular house, they're gonna work with, or that person's gonna get spot paid. Cancellation of purchase agreement, when can earnest money be released?
One,
Yep, yep. Earnest money can only wait, so you guys, we collect trust funds, right? Earnest money comes into us, let's say we hold it. The only way we're allowed to release it is at a closing, is at mutual agreement, means both parties sign a form like this, is by a court order. So we have to have something that says, hey, you can release these funds. People can make declarations, but as soon as someone challenges that, then we can't release the money anymore. So they can say, hey, this purchase agreement is canceled. People don't really struggle with that. It's all about this next one. What happens with the earnest money, right? So oftentimes if you're selling a property, remember you can't sell the property again while that you're holding that earnest money. So oftentimes in Minnesota, it's very hard to retain earnest money as well. So oftentimes it's best just to go, okay, let's let them cancel, take their money back, and let's move forward, right? If the buyer was ridiculous, like especially during inspection period, your clients need to know they're going to get their earnest money back, and your sellers need to know if they back out, they can back out for almost any reason at all. You're going to give them the earnest money back. Not everyone likes that, but that's what it is, right? After that period, let's say financing doesn't work out. Contract oftentimes has a financing contingency on it, so, we're gonna return this to the buyer. Or we're gonna look at their written statements, we're gonna return, people have conflicts about that, and that's what this other is for. Sometimes you get let's split this earnest money. We're not gonna take it all back. We gave you 50,000 in earnest money. We're gonna split it. You're not gonna get all 50,000 of it, but you were gonna get 25. You know, whatever that might be, that's what that is. Remember, blank lines are danger zones. So, be very careful about the language that you write in there, but that's what that is. And then this is electronically or transmitted or mailed to. The other ones I think you said mailed to, but this is because trust funds is how most of our stuff comes in right now. Right? Okay. Yeah, fun. You guys are like, you're gonna know a bunch of stuff before we even come in. Common interest community modification. This is the right to rescission only after there's the 3 days. This is probably one I need to review a little bit more, because this is something that people are getting stuck on a little bit. So they gave some more options here, which is different than we had before. So I'll have to spend a little time on that. We looked at one already. Keep doing it. Let's look at this one. New construction, that's not that much fun. Problem with new construction, you know what it is? Is they all use their own. This is a good one. I am hoping this right here is wire fraud. Okay, separate. Wire fraud is you are sharing this. Who are you sharing this with? With your clients, right? This is something that you're giving information to your clients, which means it should not be attached to a purchase agreement. Some reason it's attached and it should not be. It's one of my pet peeves, actually. Candy, if she was still on here, she'd be like, Kevin, we can't do anything about it. However, it shouldn't be on there. This is just for your client. It's separate on there. These things look a little different, but so that'll be the wire fraud. You can make sure you do them, but it shouldn't be on your PA. Another thing you shouldn't submit with your offer is how you're getting compensated from your client. Like there's no reason. So that would be our compensation disclosure that says we're getting paid this, and then this from the other side and this from our client. That doesn't need to go to the other side. That is a contract between you and your client. The other party doesn't need to see that. So that also shouldn't go with your purchase agreement. There are not for your compensation disclosure. Your compensation disclosure is just disclosed between you and your client. Same thing, like putting a seller net sheet in there. Well, there's no reason for that to go in. That's between you and your client. When you're submitting an offer, the thing is between your client and their client. So that's what should be in that package. This right here, I've been pretty impressed that we haven't been doing it a ton, but this is a showing and compensation agreement. This is if I don't have an exclusive right, I have to have an agreement to sell. I mean, I have to have agreement to show. So that's what this is. Yeah, so this is, yes, this is between your seller and you. Okay, this is the seller and you. So that's what this is. We'll spend a little bit of time on this one as well, because people are just curious. Wait a minute, how do I do that? This is not between a buyer and you. This is between the seller and you. How am I getting compensated? Seller. But I want to take a buyer out and they're not willing to sign a representation. Great. And what you can do is you can do a non-exclusive, right? You can do a non-exclusive representation, which says this is how I get, if you buy with me, this is how I get paid. Or you could do a exclusive rep and just make that term really short and say, this is what I get paid for showing you this property. But it wouldn't make sense to use this showing and compensation agreement with a buyer. This is between you and a seller. Hey, I'm gonna show your property. I'd like to get paid if I bring a buyer. How are you gonna pay me?
It's like if you were to have an agreement with them, it's not.
Yeah, so hey, I'm not your, you could do this on a for sale by owner as well. If I bring you someone, this is how I'm gonna get compensated. So yeah. That's what that is. You're not representing them. You are just bringing them a buyer. You're not putting it on the amount. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. This will be another one to look at. All right, so we have a lot of different forms that I will make sure we all know. Here's a purchase agreement. I'm just gonna go down to these lines which we care about. You know which lines I'm gonna go to? What lines do we care about most? That's right. All right, here it is, 405. How am I getting paid? Seller contribution to buyer's broker. Seller agrees to pay the buyer's broker compensation at closing blank percent or that amount, whichever is greater. This is in addition, oh, that's one of the things they added. They added whichever is greater. That's an important piece because it's not on the other, it wasn't on the other one. So if you wrote $0 and if there was a conflict between the two, how would you decide which one? Now it's whatever is greater. This is in addition to any seller's contribution to buyer's closing costs paid at closing. So that's helpful to know. Hey, this is not just the 3% that you might be paying. This is also, this amount is in addition to the listing broker's offer of cooperating compensation. So let's say a broker's offering 2.7. This is another broker thing we're dealing right now. They, we have an agent in our office that put 3% on this, right? And the selling agent responded, I'm not paying you 3%. We agreed to offer brokers 2.7%. So you will be receiving your 2.7. And I said to this person, wait a minute, this is a term of the contract. You can't just change it, right? And then the way that this agent responded was, thank you so much for the 2.7% offer. I will be accepting that in addition to what's on the contract, which I'm sure you expressed or you went through with your client. So I'll gladly accept 5.7%, which is the right answer. That is the right answer. Now, the challenge is that agent, unless they do an amendment, won't be allowed to accept the 5.7% because it's not on their buyer rep agreement. But the right thing there is you have to read a contract. What's the answer? Read the contract. The contract clearly states that this amount is in addition to the listing broker's offers. So if you send a co-op agreement to an agent who's buying a property from you, make sure that this number is 0 or adds up to something that you're willing to pay. This number plus that number is what you pay, not this number minus that number. It's the total package.
So if they were offering 2.5, you can put 0.2.
Or you can put 0.5, you could put 1, you could put whatever to get to the compensation that you had on your agreement with your client. Yep. Good.
Have you seen any like offers lost out on this? Yes, touching that one.
Yep. Yep. And I am one of them probably. I do 3% or whatever when I'm representing someone. And so I'll just put 3% in there and then I'll have to say, look, this is why that number cannot change, right? You can do whatever you want to the other spot. This number can't change because I have an agreement already with that person. So that they just need to understand that. Look, this is what my client is asking you to pay because that's what they owe me. Right? So, compensation, this has been probably the one that I get the most often is around compensation. Because people just don't know exactly how to do it. There are reasons to do co-op and there are reasons not to do co-op. If you're a good negotiator and you want to get the best for your client, I might say don't do co-op because you get to negotiate it here. Understand as well that most buyers, if you're not compensating their agent, they probably don't have the extra funds to compensate their agent. So it makes most sense for sellers to compensate oftentimes. So when I take a listing, I say, look, we are going to see numbers anywhere from 2 to 4% in that spot typically. And we can negotiate that number as well, see where we end up. For me, I'm not a hard driver on that kind of thing. I'll let some commission go if I think my clients are getting a great deal and that's the only sticking point. Okay, I'll wait it. But there's nowhere does it say, and it's actually one of the problems there again, nowhere does it say you have to accept what the listing side is offering. All commissions are negotiable. That's right. All right. There'll be more forms. I'll go through them, but these are, you guys kind of got a highlight on some of them. They're not crazy like last time, but there are some neat things on there. The commercial got a whole bunch of new forms as well, so. My number is on my card. It's in the office stuff. You can always call me when you get stuck on something. It's better to call me even before you get stuck and just going, hey, I think there might be something here. So do that. I tend to love answering questions. Like doing it. Awesome. Thank you.